Bad Movie Crew. Bad Movie Crew.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bad Movie Crew. I'm your host, Neil, here by my brother, Mark.
Hey, what's going on, people? What's going on? I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Hope you were surrounded by your friends and your family and your loved ones. And there we go. How
Right.
was your Christmas, my brother?
My Christmas as well. It was good.
Yes.
You know, the family came over, opened some presents, ate some ham, do a little imbibing. You know, life was all right. It's good to relax and reflect with family and friends.
We at that age now where, we look forward to the ham and the drinks more than the presents. But hey,
Yeah, how was Christmas for you?
man, in a reserved way, family still did our thing. It was good to hang out with the family. The usual roast session happened. And of course I was at the center of it all. But I've come to terms with my life in this family. I'm comfortable with my lot in life when it comes to my family.
Yeah. All right, my brother. First, we gotta let the people know. Merry
Mhm.
Christmas. We really appreciate your love and support this year and continued blessings. And I hope you have good tidings and blessings in the new year. That is
Yep,
from the
and
BMC, Mark and myself.
correct. Also, look out for us for some new things in the year. We want to give you guys some more content. Still in the work, still in the pipelines, but look out for it. And we hope it's received as well as this version of BMC has been, because you guys have been loving the content. You guys continue to share. We love all the feedback. And yeah, let's get into it today, my brother.
All right. So, Mark, what are we reviewing on this episode of the Bad Movie?
We are reviewing the latest installment to the Matrix, the ever expanding Matrix franchise in Matrix Resurrection. Uh we can get into it, my brother. We can get into it.
No, we'd usually do a preamble. Matrix Resurrections, highly anticipated, came out of nowhere. When you think about 3-4 years ago, we didn't anticipate a new Matrix film, but we are here and we shall cover it. So, The Matrix Resurrections, it is produced by Village Roadshow Pictures, Venus Castina Productions. It is also distributed by Warner Brothers. The director is Lana Wachowski. She is part of the duo, the Wachowskis, that would have done the whole Matrix trilogy. So then it's starring Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Jessica Henwick, Jonathan Groff, Neil Patrick Harris, and Priyanka Chopra Jonas. It's 148 minutes. And The Matrix Resurrections continues the story of Neo and Trinity and this computer generated program that is used to enslave people. I guess this is as good a time to say as any. Spoiler alert, if you have not watched Matrix Resurrections, if you have never watched any of the Matrix films, and you're interested in watching the Matrix films, especially this one, pause, put me in, give me a like, put me in watch later. Your favorite it if you want, you know what I mean? You come back and watch after you have watched the movies. So as I was saying, Matrix continues the story of Neo, human versus machines. The machines have created, in this dystopian future, have created this Matrix, this computer generated program where they grow human beings and plug them into it. It's an interface where it keeps them docile, it keeps them, kind of in a kind of lull state, where the machines use them for power because
Correct.
that's their source of energy, right?
Yeah.
So the Resurrections continues the story of Neo and Trinity, who at the end of Matrix Revelations would have seemingly died, and through their efforts ended the war between man and machines, and broke her a little piece.
Mhm.
However, at the beginning of this, coming into this movie, the trailers and what's not, obviously something is afoot. Somebody broke the truce, and we back at it again. I'm not going to go into the synopsis because I still feel as though you should watch the movie.
Yeah,
Right?
it's still fresh. It's still fresh.
It's still fresh,
It's fresh.
and we can give our opinions on it. So, Mark, Matrix Resurrections. You said, I remember very, very, very pointedly, you said you were hyped for this movie. You were excited.
I was.
Right?
I really was.
And we've watched the movie. By this time, we probably watched it, at least glanced at it a couple of times.
Correct.
You know what I mean? What was your opinion of Matrix Resurrections? Did it live up to the hype? Did it do what you wanted it to do in continuing the world and the lore, and did it not do What you hope it didn't do? Tell me about it.
If I can keep this a Sir Bradley here, I hate that I like this movie. And that sounds so weird, but I hate that I like this movie. And I'm gonna do my best to explain why. To answer your questions, yes, I was hyped. Did it live up to my expectations? I want to say it met them, but didn't exceed them because maybe I'm jaded from all of the cash grabs for popular IPs from the past that have been completely fucked over.
No,
So
no,
I
no,
didn't
no,
have.
no, no. Call it by its name.
There's more than one, sir.
I
There's
know,
more
but
than
I know,
one.
but we both thinking about the
Yes.
front runner.
The Force Awakens. Yes,
Good.
we are talking
Star
about the
Wars.
Force Awakens.
Talk about Star Wars. Call it by the name. Call it by the name.
Star Wars. So my expectations were not super high. It wasn't like the expectations we would have had from Matrix to Reloaded or even Reloaded to Revelations. But it was tempered, but the trailer still had me hyped.
Mm-hmm.
It did do anything groundbreaking, as we would have said in our retrospective. They didn't, but in watching the movie, I'm kind of glad they didn't. They didn't force, like, as we said, Bullet Time was done to death, parodied and everything. So they couldn't expand on Bullet Time any further. And they didn't try anything new that may have not gone down well in the movie. So they kind of played it safe. They were playing with house money and they played it safe, which is fine because again, like I said, if you look at Star Wars, if you look at Terminator, and if you look at other ones, they've gone big, they've swung and they've missed, and they've been ridiculed for it. So playing it safe in this instance wasn't a bad thing. There's some things that let me down. But as I said, and quite honestly, you said this movie is 148 minutes. I really want to say about 100 minutes of this movie is callbacks slash fan service.
100?
I'm being generous. You would say what, 120? You would said it.
This is like easily 2 hours of callbacks, but anyhow.
So, right, okay, fine. Let me say 2 hours of callbacks, flashbacks, whatever. And I get you want to bring in the original fans and you want to blend it for the good fans, for the newer fans, sorry. But for something to push forward the lore, you really didn't do much because this is almost beat for beat part one in certain aspects. And I did like how they poked fun at themselves throughout the movie. There were constant jabs at the first couple of Matrix movies and stuff like that. And it was humor well received, to be quite honest. From Bugs watching the first opening scene of the first Matrix and everything and all of that, it was funny. Like right throughout the movie, it was funny. Other than that, like I said, they didn't push forward the lore any way, but they did answer some very burning questions, like how the Neo and Trinity still around. And I must say, Neil Patrick Harris was an awesome villain.
I didn't see that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I did, like, because obviously throughout the trailers, I was always saying that we can get back Smith, and Smith would have been the guy that we saw in the blue.
Jonathan Groff.
We would have saw him. I really thought he was gonna be the antagonist again, but the switch to Neil Patrick Harris as the villain, and he was like that scene in the warehouse where he's slowing down time and talking to Neo was awesome. Like he was like, that is how you make a villain. Like he was just there and he was just like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I could shoot Trinity and I don't give a shit. Look, you want to get back in the pod. I let you be cool because you want Trinity, she want you. But yeah. So they did good in answering the burning questions. I didn't leave it. Okay, well, I gotta wait for another movie to figure out what's going on. It was they answered everything that I guess they figured most of the original fans would have wanted to know, and it did that well. My dislikes right off the bat, the fight scenes seemed very, very watered down, and I want to say it's because of age, because again, Matrix is almost 20 years, and Keanu was a lot younger when he did it, so was he able to do a little more of his stunts because remember, guys, this is back when we were more into practical stunts than CGI. So a lot of the stuff you see in the first Matrix is a lot of wire works and stuff like that. Was he too old to continue that? Possibly. But one thing I've noticed throughout the four Matrix movies, each continuation of the movies of the franchise, the fight scenes seem more, I don't want to say watered down or less. Where is visceral? I want to say because, all right, in the first one, there's a scene where Morpheus is caught and Smith whoops his ass in that bathroom. When those punches land, you feel it. You hear the bass, like you feel it. But as you get into the sequels, you don't feel that. Like the I don't know, the licks, the bass from the licks, the sound effects for the licks are so mild that you tell yourself, you're getting a slap in the face. And it continued in this. Also, I ain't a big law fighting expert. I mean, I do judo for about 2 months when I did 11. I get hit once and I tell myself, that, no, I doubt that. But there's no way you are fighting a man and you got your jacket open, fighting a man and jumping both the screen. That creates drag, sir. I know that much. You want to be as streamlined as possible. This is when Morpheus was trying to awaken Neo all over again. That fight scene in the cottage. Hey man walking about with his vest open, his shirt open. Walking about he thing open and everything. But that was more distracting than the fight. Like that distract me from the fight. Cause every time he throw a punch, I see in this red whatever in the screen and like you modeling? You on the runway? You in Versace? What the is you doing?
Man's a flamboyant. Anyhow.
So it's just like those little things, and then I can just say the ending was like I
when you say the ending, particularly
like,
the whole third act.
Not the I won't say the whole third act. Well, where do you consider the third act to start? Let me ask you that. Where do you consider the third act to start?
Would have started, this would have been when they were going to the cafe.
Okay.
So it's like the plan is set in motion.
Right.
They're going into the Matrix. So, this is when Niobe would have told them, I need volunteers or whatever. Yeah. And
all right. So not the whole third act. The whole third act was not bad. I hate because I get it when Neil Patrick Harris explains, we realize if we put the two of y'all too close together, y'all at the system. But if we keep y'all just within eyesight of one another, you all produce enough power to make the Matrix work and yada 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 yada. All right, cool. I understand that. So I would always I would say, okay, if the two of them get together, is Control Alt Delete a blue screen, everything done up. So you gotta keep them apart. So the cafe part and everything made sense. That's all right. Everybody's gonna fight. If you want to come and give me some hoity-toity voodoo MacGuffin thing that you could switch between Trinity and Bugs and they got the same brain wavelength, all right, cool. Technobabble works because it's a Technobabble movie. It ain't gonna be based on reality.
I didn't personally understand that part, but sure.
Exactly. Like I said, like my suspension of disbelief worked because it's Technobabble, and if you could find a way to turn a human into a Duracell battery, you could find a way to do whatever you feel.
Actually, no, that I think about it, I think she was put into that element. I could be wrong, but they probably put her there because when you study it, there were no humans there to interact. So like there were robots and there was the hologram of Sati. Yeah. So I guess she was put in that situation so you could have essentially the audience or human element, and she just can't be there for no reason. So
yeah, so that's cool. And I must say, sorry, back to some of the things they like. I like how they plug in, get in and out of the Matrix now. That's really cool. You don't need the phone line. You like they just can jack in at anywhere, and that's good. And you may say, I was like, we replace the agents. Why do I need to superimpose the agent when it could just turn everybody mad? Like swarm mode was scary.
Yeah.
like that part was a little scary.
I found it interesting because that's a great way to introduce zombies. You know what I mean? Zombies is a craze, so that's a great way to introduce zombies.
So and it was a little scary. Like you just like literally you just laying down in your bed and you could get tip over and jump up and commit mass suicide. I'm like, holy shit! Like that is scary.
Yes.
But I hate that you essentially power swapped from Neo to Trinity. I know she's a big MacGuffin that you've not fully explained. Like this is the one thing that they did not explain, and if that's what they want to hold over to the eventual sequel. All right, but it was done piss poor because all of a sudden, no, she sliced Neil's throat, recreate him, kick off his jaw, recreate him. But you have not identified this power set. Like you've just said, all right, cool. Like, like you just can't come and just give me some new fantastical powers in the same movie without some sort of explanation. If she was doing that in whatever comes after this, all right, cool, no problem. Because as we talked about in the retrospective, they went from movie to movie where all of a sudden is like years later, and Neo has developed more powers. That's fine.
You know what that is like? Not to cross you, but you know what that's like? Remember in part 2 when Neo destroyed the Sentinel in the real world?
Exactly.
Like at the
Right.
third act, and we was like,
Right. Like but you see the way that was done, they waited from one movie to the next.
no.
No, I mean from part one. From part one where he got his powers, where he stopped the bullets in
Right.
the Matrix.
Right.
Then he developed another power set in another movie. So it's reasonable to think that he could have
I think
in
I
the
understand.
time
Okay.
passed between Matrix and Matrix Reloaded, if he can do all, then obviously he can probably connect to a different power set because there's been time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But no, you're telling me all of a sudden Trinity, who is now essentially the one version 2.0, has a little more power, a little different power set to Neo, who at first didn't have his power to fly. Now all of a sudden, at the end of this one, he flies off with her too. Like,
And
what you
I
what you doing? Like how what I'm saying is if you want straight if you wanted a straight swap powers, like Neo makes a statement in the during like somewhere around the just before the third act. He's like, she believed in him, so now it's his turn to believe in her. That is fine if you know one swap or it makes sense, whatever. But no, you want to come and dipsy doodle and so well we ain't really want straight gender swap Trinity for Neo, so we can still get Neo powers and Trinity powers all in the same movie. Like without you've done a good job of holding us through every part of the movie so far. No, she just said, all right, well, here's a big off so but we can just get Trinity a new power set and I want us to go home and think about that.
must
Yeah,
go home
like
and
just
go home and
go and think about that.
study that. A lot of us
Study
like
that.
go home and study that.
Study that. And then like and we would have had a little discussion about this after watching it a couple of times. The hand holding throughout this movie was not coming from a franchise that historically left you to interpret what was on screen. The hand holding was a bit I did not like that they turned or they kind of hinted that Morpheus went into this whole religious nut thing and he didn't believe that the machines would have gone back on their word.
That's actually that. Anyhow, you go ahead.
I didn't.
To me, that was in character. That's who he is.
Yeah, but okay. Yes, he believed in the prophecy, yeah, but he was not stupid enough not to know that, not to be prepared for anything. Because throughout the movies, as much as he believed in the prophecy, almost to the detriment of all of Zion, at the end of the day, he was still prepared to put the prophecy one side, pick up a gun and holler, well, let me time to get down. Know what I mean?
Let's get active.
Listen, all right, then. So just all of a sudden, now the man turns into this whole religious nut or hint at a loss of common sense was a little annoying for me.
A loss of common sense.
Yeah, as our honorable, right honorable Prime Minister said, incline your heart to common sense.
He did not.
He did not. He did not. I was like, did we need that? And I was like, all right, you know what? But I walked away from this movie liking a majority of it, but I should not have liked it as much as I did, which is why I said I hate that I like the movie because realistically, if you take out the callback slash flashbacks and fan service, whatever you want to call it, this could be put TV as a sitcom.
A sitcom?
Well, sorry. You know, sitcoms are usually 25, 30 minutes. Like,
Oh, you mean? Oh, I get what you're saying. Like it could be a half an hour program. Okay,
yeah, it could be a
okay.
half-hour program. Like, this could be a PSA from GIS. Know what I mean?
You know what the PSA could be? Protect yourself. Wrap it up. Do not put yourself. do not enter people raw, or beer junk gonna happen. But all know Agent Smith talking about Neo, the gift that keeps on giving.
He was another waste. There was no need for Smith. Like, I think Smith, the Merovingian, the rogue programs, all of that lended nothing to the movie. Yeah, you remember it cool. Yeah, he's stopping corner his French accent, talking. Like, and he did. That didn't impact the scene anyway. Like,
Oh, anyhow, you go ahead. But yeah,
that didn't impact any scene.
Mm-mm.
I did like the copy of Inception. We're going through the doors and shit like that. That was cool. But yeah, I ain't even middling. I definitively hate that I like this movie and that I've watched it more than once and I liked it. Like, they're like, even on like second watch, like there's still things I know are coming that make me laugh. And I'm like, all right, cool. I hate that I like this movie. And that is the best way I can put it. I don't it's frustrating, as you can tell. It's frustrating because he guys want to talk about I'm middling. I'm not middling. Not middling on this one. I personally hate that I like this movie.
I said nothing. I said a word.
I can see it in your face, you smug bastard.
Like you want analysts to say bothering you so much.
God, yeah, I do. I probably do.
You need an analyst.
I probably do.
So first time I watched this movie, I watched it. When it finished, I was like, that was a good Matrix movie. Shoot, it's not the worst Matrix movie, right? I want to make that clear. And I also want to make it clear that it's not a bad movie, right? It is not a bad movie.
30 minutes long, but yeah, ain't a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie. If it is a good movie, we'll get into that, but it's not a bad movie. It is not the worst Matrix film. Now, having said that, I agree with most of what Mark said. For me, I think it does, and I can get into a bit of what I liked about it. I like the fact that they give you, I did not leave the theater with burning questions. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I left with questions like, as you say, all right, well, Trinity is now the one, how that work? Or they're like a diode now, like, you know, from Rise of Skywalker. Yes, I can bring a lot of references to Star Wars into this. So at the end of it, I got all of the answers. Why everything is the way it is, what happened to the, you know, to Zion and the people before.
Trinity, everything.
And I like the fact that they did push the lore by saying, you know, sentience and humans, like through what Neo did, it impacted the sentience to a point where it's like, all right, see this here? It's Maliki on the saying, we ain't about this life, right? And they honored the peace, or they believed in a symbiotic or a union with human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that part. I liked the callbacks, but this can also be my dislikes. I liked the callbacks and the fan service to a point. It was refreshing to see, you know, at the beginning, I was seeing like they were playing out the beginning of the movie. I was like, she's not shot for shot, they can do it over. But then you start to understand what's going on. And that's another thing I liked about the movie, right? In terms of capturing, it did not capture the first Matrix. So I want to make that very clear. You can never recapture the first Matrix. The first Matrix was as near perfect a sci-fi film could be, right? Piece of film could be. So anything that comes after that will never, you'd be lucky to replicate that. But I like the fact that going through this movie, there were a lot of, what the hell going on here? Like the first Matrix, right? We even said it in the retrospect, like you were going through it. You was like, the first Matrix, what the hell this is? Like, what's going on? And as this movie was playing out, I was intrigued. You understand? Why is this woman not Trinity? Because remember at the beginning, right? Why is this woman not Trinity? And why is it playing over? And then Bugs and the operator were saying that they're using old code to build something new. So then you see Trinity she's captured by the agents and getting fleeced.
Yep.
And then she interacts with it. And then I don't know how I missed this in the trailer, but Morpheus, the new Morpheus, was an agent.
No, you didn't miss it in the trailer. They purposely left out that part because.
But no, he was in a suit. Remember, he was in a suit. But I didn't remember seeing him in a suit, but I thought it was just him being in a suit.
Right, exactly. But they didn't reference him being an agent in the trailers because we know Lawrence Fishburne's Morpheus was always in a suit.
Yeah.
So to see the new Morpheus in a suit is not. It's like, hey, that's something to look for.
Right. It wouldn't be like why he dressed like an agent.
Right.
Right.
But when he got out the car and was essentially the
Agent
Smith in that version, I was like, well, be. All right.
Yeah.
All right. You have my interest here. But
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it did a very good job. Even like after the first few minutes after that, you see Neo, and you find out that the Matrix was a video game, a series of video games that Thomas Anderson created, and he's heralded as it, right? And you can see that he sees himself as Neo, but others see him through the reflections or whatever. Others see him as other people, right? And I found it. I was intrigued. I was intrigued. Like, what is going on? Why is everything like that? And it pays off that because you just talk about cinematic blue balls. Like, it didn't give me that. Like, it teased me, it intrigued me, but then gave me the cathartic release by letting me know, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. So that in Congress with having all of the answers at the end of the movie, I felt satisfied. So watching this, I felt satisfied to know, okay, you open up the rabbit hole and you tell me, we back in the Matrix. What you got for me? So they showed me, they made me interested, and then they paid it off. So for that, I am grateful because, like, at the end of Rise of Skywalker, I just did not understand what I watched. Like, it was frustrating that so many important things were glossed over. You know what I mean? And it came to a head. We still don't understand, if Rey's lineage is like it was.
Well, we understand it, but what we understand has nothing to do with the lore of Star Wars. That's the problem. Right.
It was separate, but this felt like a Matrix film. It answered the questions that we had. It brought everything full circle, and it made sense. Right, by and large, for the most part, the movie made sense. I thought that overall it was a beautiful film in terms of the shots and the coloring and everything like that. I personally don't know if I don't want, because I know, in the original Matrix it is more green, but this is an upgrade of the Matrix, and I guess they're trying to go for a little more realism, visceral, whatever. But it, like, shot for shot, it was a gorgeous film. The CGI in parts was kind of like in 2021 though, but it wasn't as bad as Matrix Loaded for me. Like, you remember there's a scene where Neo flies up for the first time and he goes above the clouds, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's Neo. But in this one, yes, the CGI was not flawless, but it worked for now. I don't know if it's gonna age well.
There's one scene I know for sure won't, and it's when they're on a motorcycle, and like that whole motorcycle chase, like a lot of that is not gonna age well.
Yeah. There was a part where they went around a corner.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, okay, here's Robert Neo and Robert Trinity. Yeah. So think the film was well shot. The sound was amazing to me. I love the sound of this movie, sound, special effects, everything. I by and large love that part of it. And I think the directing was not terrible. I don't think it was god awful. I thought it was a competent film. Obviously, Lana Wachowski would have co-wrote the original Matrix and things, so she understood the lore to a point, and I didn't feel like she gave a huge middle finger to us fans.
Did she co-write it or did she co-steal it?
Mark, this is not that type of podcast. We could get into that in another episode, but don't just drop that there. No, the people gonna be like, what he mean? We could talk. We could talk.
We could be getting into other things and it don't play. Let me know.
Yeah.
Hey, anyhow, she co-wrote it.
Anyhow, stay tuned. But anyhow, so I didn't have a problem necessarily with the pacings. Like, the pacing was okay. The pacing was alright. Like, I have parts where it dipped and whatever, but for me, the 148 minutes I didn't feel. I did not feel the 140 minutes. Like, let's say it was another movie that we reviewed that was long, like Bond or Red Notice. Like,
I felt it in Red Notice. You hated that from the beginning. So you hated that from the beginning. I can guarantee you probably felt it. You felt it within the first 10 minutes. So go on with that one. Go on with that one.
But yeah, so I didn't feel it. No, to the dislikes. I can't remember any more likes, but I can go with the dislikes. For me, the callbacks. I just mentioned that there were a lot of callbacks, and it's a very self-aware film, which I do like, right? I don't have a problem with the self-awareness, but the callbacks, my goodness gracious, God almighty. It beat you over the head. It's like, after I watched this movie and then watched it a second time and I thought about it, I was like, I couldn't find any hardcore solidified news saying that there is going to be sequel. There are going to be sequels. They rebooted it, but I think this is based on how people react to it. And I was saying Lana Wachowski probably made this as a fan service, like complete fan service to the fans, right? Fans been asking for it. People been asking for it. What Matrix?
It's over 20 years,
right?
With a burning question. So
it's like I almost see it as a present maybe to the fans. But I was like, my God, Lana, like I feel like every scene down to dialogue, and that's the part that pissed me off, down to dialogue. Like when Morpheus says, when they're in the bathroom with Neo, and Neo is like, who's you? What you got to do with it? What have you used the program I created? You can't be real. And he was like, I'm 100% natural. That is kind of like a line that was in the first one. When, was this Tank? When Tank was saying he's 100% homegrown human. Homegrown, right? Yeah. It felt like a callback to that. Like, even down to the dialogue, the Merovingian and the exiles, there was no reason for the Merovingian to be in this movie other than to say, hey, I remember him from the second and third Matrix movies. You know what I mean? Down to like some of the moves that people would have done were callbacks, the flipping, and it was a little too much. Shoot, down to the point where they interspliced old footage from the movie. And I'm like when this was in trailer 2, when Smith was saying, billions of people living out their lives oblivious. Why did you have to cut? That is such an iconic monologue and line in the monologue. Why do you feel the need to intersplice Smith with that to give a visual cue that this is Smith? You know what I mean? Like, we get it. We get it.
This is like, and before I'm gonna get any comments, I have zero issue with the Honorable Hyperdog Sir Lil Rick, however you want to call him. The Honorable Sir Lil Rick. However, Ricky Reed, Chihuahua businessman, Hyperdog. I have no issues with him. Big fan, love the music. But this is like he had a song probably a couple of years ago where he is basically singing his hits as a song. You know what I mean? Like he has a song paying tribute to his hits and he is singing it. That is what this movie is. This is what this movie is. It no click to me. Like it no came to me as you were talking. Again, Don't come in my mention saying I got a problem with lyric. I just say I have nothing wrong with the Bible. Music is make the girls walk up. I offer that. Well, into it, no, should not be, but no. But this movie is akin to that song. He is singing about his hits. He is singing about his own hits in a current song to make a song.
Yeah, and this what this movie is. This movie is the greatest hits, right? Shoot, even down to the fight scene between Smith and Neo in a dark, dungy, dusty, brick-filled room.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Punching through columns. It reminds you of the subway scene. You know what I mean?
They even brought back when he punched.
When he did the 100,
the 100 high. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, man. I didn't like that part. I didn't like how they held your hand and saying it's almost like the new fans is like, hey, this is a new Matrix, but you know, hey, come take a stroll with us. But it's like, let them watch the films and figure it out. You know what I mean? Like there is established lore that they can go and watch and they can get what they got from it. You know what I mean?
Correct. And it's almost like they had, well, I mean, they didn't have to do as much fan service as they did. But I expected a lot of exposition because we are 20 years removed from the first Matrix, and you want to bring in this new audience that probably ain't want to go back and watch them. And that's fine. I get you will have to get exposition, which is why I think the warehouse scene is probably the best non-action part of the movie. Like where he sits down and he explains and like and gives you how Neo and Trinity are battling. I think that right there is pretty much that. And when Niobe explains to Neo how the truth fell apart, those two was all the exposition that movie needed, in my opinion. It can't, but it's 148 minutes, and that was all about 20 minutes of the movie in total. I don't think you want 120 minutes of just all out licks. I would personally, but again.
Well, but right. So I didn't like the callbacks. I thought the fight scenes. You touched on the fight scenes, yo. The reason why I disliked the fight scenes. No, the first original Matrix, it was a stylish, brawny, action-packed thrill ride, right? You had a bit of everything. You had guns, you had kung fu licks, wire fu, paper licks. You know what I mean? You had some groundbreaking visuals and stunts, and you had thought-provoking themes and plot in the story. Like it combined, that's what makes the Matrix one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever, because the combination of everything was just well executed and it all worked. It didn't feel like, oh, that's a kung fu movie pretending to be a philosophical movie, or that's a philosophical movie with 2 fight scenes in it to make it feel like it's something else. Like it felt like it created its own lane, right? This Matrix, no, one of the pillars of that original formula was the fight scenes. Long takes, huge choreography. You know, they're like when you think of the scene with Agent Smith and Neo in the subway, they have very long takes of the fight. You know what I mean? So you can tell. Now I wondered why, because there was a lot of shaky camera cuts in this one, a lot of cutaways, like a kick taking 3 or 4 cuts to do, and a punch is 2 cuts, and I was wondering why did they do it like this? Why did they think to do it like this? And I can only assume that because of, I would believe, either budget or the COVID-19 and time crunch, whatever like that. Everybody said there's a deadline because this was supposed to come out May this year. So, man, say here, June, you got to get this done. This coming out in 2021, right? Because Warner Brothers obviously got their, you know, marketing, whatever. They want it to be what it is. So to me, the fight scenes just felt generic. You know, the Matrix, I don't want to say pioneered fight scenes. That would be ridiculous to say, but they truly paid respect to the action of fight scenes and the choreography and that art style of having kung fu in movies, like paying homage to those old kung fu movies and stuff like that with long takes.
Funny you should say that. I don't know how true this is because I didn't get a chance to research it. But in all the hoopla of this one coming out, I saw this little snippet where it said in the original one, the guy that did the stunt wires and all the wire flow and all of that, when they approached him, he didn't want to do the job. So he made this ridiculous request that he will only do it if he gets to train the actors for 6 months before they start shooting.
Mhm.
And they agreed. So this goes back to what I said earlier. There's like a lot of practical effects. So like a lot of these, there's the when they go to rescue Morpheus from the FBI tower, there's a kick that the very last guy that's defeated, where Neo gives him the triple kick.
Mhm.
There's video with him saying they took days to get that done because he was not getting the kicks done. And just like, so he him is not a stunt double. He said like on the last day when they got it right, he was like, all right, this is the last day. And if I can't get it done, you bring in the stunt double to do it. So there were practical effects. So so what you're saying is, again, supposed to come out in May. It pushed back COVID. You got the restrictions. Maybe that's why, as you said, the fight scenes were so generic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't like the fight scenes. I thought that it was a bit too. It's not in keeping the Matrix. Like that was to me, that would be good for any other action film, like in today's age. But that's exactly that felt like Marvel. Like when you see those action scenes, they got a lot of cuts and everything like that, because they're just pumping out content. But the Matrix, the first Matrix took its time, and it felt like even in subsequent sequels, they took their time when it comes to certain fight scenes or whatever. Shoot, they had the whole Burly Brawl when he fought 100 agents in the second one, right? Granted, we can talk about how the special effects have aged poorly or whatever, but the point is they did their due diligence in making it feel visceral and real, as you say. But it was just, I didn't like the fight scenes in this. It was another thing I didn't like. Agent Smith, he came over to me as a B villain in a Saturday morning cartoon movie. Like the only thing that was missing for him was a mustache and twirling it. Like I got those vibes from him, right? And I started to wonder what's the purpose of having him in the film, right? Now I understand he's tied to Neo. He's part of what the one and everything like that, right? He is the black to his white. You understand? The foil to his hero. But they made him, his motivations in it, like he just wanted to get to the analyst for restraining him and keeping him down and suppressing him. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I didn't like the fact that he was a MacGuffin, came in at the end, saved the people from the architect, from the analyst. Because I was wondering when they introduced that power in the warehouse, which was a very good scene. It was a really, really good scene. But when they show that he's using bullet time against Neo, right? It is interesting how they had the bullet time. And I was wondering, wow, this is a fantastic ability. This is really something that could trump Neo. But then I was like, how if this man do this again? I hope this ain't one of these things that he do it once and never do it again. But he does it again, but the MacGuffin is Smith, who now can do the same thing that he could do. So it makes me wonder, all right, so what's Smith power set now? And I thought his power set was, you know what I mean? Like, and as you said, the power sets in this, right? Trinity becoming the half of one, the 0.5. I don't know what it cost you, right?
Too old.
Right? I don't have a problem with her becoming the one or becoming whatever with Neo, especially after he went in her raw. Right? Take out the bullet.
Baby, I like it raw.
Right?
Baby, I like it raw.
Now, after that, I don't have a problem with her getting her abilities or whatever. But in no other Matrix movie have you shown her, not even a hint, a glimmer, that their love produced this type of, like her having these kinds of abilities. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
she can see money come back to life, so.
But that's not enough, because to me, you know what this felt like? This felt like, there's got to sound the power of love. This is exactly what, to me, the tagline of this is the power of love. You know what I mean? And I was just like, all right, Trinity got powers, no problem. She could fly, she could do whatever, no problem.
Another song that pop in my head, but
What's that?
they were from Karate Kid. I am a man who will fight
For your honor,
honor.
Chicago. That's a big trick,
Yeah.
big drop. But yeah, I just, and then, you make her part of the one, no problem. Why? How does it work? Is it love? Say it's love. You know what I mean? All of the others didn't fall in love, so they were the anomaly. But now that they're in love, they share the power. Say something like that. Give us something, but don't jump from a rooftop. She flying with you, and it's like, no, that's new, right? Anyhow, that to me, I understand what you say that was poorly executed. That was not necessary thing. I wasn't highly offended by it, but I was like, all right, I get it, but you have what?
You have 2 ones.
You got two ones are two into 2 1. So I love Neil Patrick Harris as the villain. I do agree with you because I did not see him being a villain. I knew he was part of the Matrix, and I knew he was there to keep Neo sedated and to keep Neo and Trinity, in this state of almost there but not. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that he was the big bad, right? And he comes over as that. The difference between him, I heard people saying that they don't like him because the architect was so machine-like in his delivery and approach. They didn't like Neil Patrick Harris's human.
Yeah.
But the reason why I think it works is because even Neil Patrick Harris said it in the movie. His predecessor was too analytical. He was too, he didn't really care about the human mind. He didn't care about humans like that. But Neil Patrick Harris sounds like a program that studied humans and probably even took elements of their personality and behaviors onto his own, right? Because he says he likes experiments. So maybe he tried out a few and he you know what I mean?
Right. Or like you said, because he studied it, so because he took the time to study what would make a human tick, he would try to make a matrix more to that kind of thinking. You just because again he says the architect says his first matrix was by all accounts a masterpiece. It was perfect. Nobody didn't want for nothing, and the only thing that rivaled it was its failure. Because humans like strife, humans like struggle, humans like it is almost ingrained in us that you got to struggle to do something.
Yeah, and that
because we as much as we want something to be flawless, if it is flawless, we still try to pick it apart. So the subconscious is gonna say, this ain't making any sense. I mean, even in our everyday life, if we are doing something or for a span of 3 or 4 months, everything is going swimmingly. In the back of your head, you be telling yourself, something up here. And that's just human. So you can understand why it feels. So Neil Patrick Harris took more of a human approach to making us into Duracell batteries.
Right. And that brings me over to the themes. I can talk about my likes and dislikes of the themes. I love the themes in this, just like what Mark just alluded to in terms of human beings needing distractions and to be plugged in and have strife. So that can explain the advent of social media. That can explain why, consumerism is at an all-time high. It can explain a lot of things that are happening in 2021. It is a very good allegory to what is happening in the real world. So there's the duality, there is self-oppression, there is addiction. There are several things that they touch on in this movie that I think are in keeping with what a Matrix film is. You know what I mean? Giving commentary on certain things. What I liked the part where they were doing this montage of making the game, the Matrix 4. I thought that was very self-aware. I think that when Smith says, Warner Brothers, they're making a new Matrix without us or not, I think that encapsulates why we have another Matrix movie. I think they approach Lana the Wachowskis and say, here, tune. Keanu Reeves and all them, here, tune. We're making a new Matrix, whether you vote it or not. We would really love you to be on this project, and here's a truckload of money.
I was about to say it.
But just know, if y'all say no, we're making another Matrix movie, and this is who we have tapped to do the movie. So I think, Lana came in to say, well, I take this on. Keanu, I take this on. Everybody came back around, and they did the movie. So I thought that was a very good self-aware part of it. And then I love how it poked fun of the fans. For 20 years, this is a socio-economic cryptocurrency transactionary, this is you know what I mean? Like, I love how they put, like, we all dissect the movie. Everybody has a polarizing opinion of what the Matrix is about and what it represents. And I like how the fact that they talked about it in the movie. Again, it's very self-aware. But I think it spent too much time on breaking down the original trilogy and what it meant to people. I feel like it didn't come over as egregious, or it didn't come over as offensive, but it came over as
long-winded.
Yeah, we get it. You understand?
Because that same part you're talking about, I was like, there's a glitch in the Matrix. Because it literally felt like it was just the same scene.
Right.
But people, different clothes. And
but the reason why it's not a glitch, it was a montage to show the passage of time.
Yeah.
So and it was to show that Neo, Thomas Anderson, taking the medication, he just going through the motions. And I got it, right? But it was like, all right, a little too much.
Show with a rubber ducky on your head.
Yeah. The special effects, we can see how they look in 5 years. I don't think they look too good.
Running might get it 6 months.
Well, you're right, yeah.
When you got movies like Dune out.
You're right, yeah. Yeah. I can wrap this up right now. I thought the movie, coming out of the movie, I was satisfied. More than I was disappointed. I was really, really afraid of being disappointed. And like, I watched some reviews before I did this just to get kind of the pulse of how the movie was. Everybody,
to me, bro.
I know, but the reason why I did that is because I wanted to temper my expectations. Like, people were saying it's bear jump. I don't agree with them now. I could say that there were a lot of those reviews are reactionary. I don't know if they're doing it for clicks and likes, or if they're or if they expected the first Matrix 2021. I don't know, but it was not as bad as they made it out to be. I think IGN gave it a score of 4 out of 10.
Shit.
I think that was a bit.
That's a bit heavy-handed.
It was a bit heavy.
Even me that has a hate to like sentiment to it, I think that's a bit heavy-handed. I wouldn't go as a 4. Nah.
Yeah, a four is rough goings. But in the end, I think the movie works. I think it is self-contained. So if Warner Brothers say, nah, we're making them want, they say don't do well or whatever, and they decide to move on from the project and probably do something else with it, then it still works.
I can almost guarantee you, my brother, another Matrix movie is coming.
I know.
Because if after EFA and you could give me 2 more movies that nobody wanted, we could guarantee another Matrix movie coming.
I understand that. But what I'm saying, when you look at this movie, like this movie was made, you add it to the other 3. It works as a story arc. So if they never make another Matrix movie,
okay,
you can say, all right, cool.
I get you.
Right? If they decide to make sequels, then that's a story for another conversation. It opens the door for that. So this movie, I didn't expect it to be the first Matrix. I didn't expect it to be the second Matrix. I just wanted it to be better than Revolutions, to be quite honest.
And you didn't want it to be a Force Awakens.
Oh, hell no. And that's another thing. I'm glad you bring that up, Mark. Disney. You watched the Matrix Resurrections. We know you watched it. See how you do it? A reboot? Sequel? Don't give us a movie for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, where it is just fan service and it does nothing to build the lore. The Force Awakens did nothing to build the lore. You introduced so many new characters as protagonists. Now we have to wonder, who is this person? What is this? What's their motivation? This, that, next, the third. And you give us no answers. And then in the sequel, you don't pay them off.
CBB.
Do not do that. You understand? If you introduce new characters, give it the motivation of what the story is, and let me keep it moving. But do not come and tell me this is Rey. She has Force powers. But how is she picking up and being so Force sensitive? Who are her parents? Where is Luke? We wait,
Aye.
or then, and we wait 3 years, 2 years, however long, and you come and you march well like Saber.
We could get that. That's a whole different topic, and that
Yeah.
we could get into that. We could get into that
Anyhow,
for sure.
So Mark, what would you rate the Matrix Resurrection out of 5 red pills?
Overall, I kind of have more likes than dislikes, because the dislikes are, for me, the dislikes are at key intervals. Like, it's not like I dislike. It's not like they did something that was so terrible in the movie or so egregious that I just want to shove the movie in a bucket of 6-month-old sauce. Like it's just the key, like too much callbacks, too much callbacks, too much of that there, and the ending wasn't executed properly. Stuff like that is not overly bearing the parts that are annoying. Like Agent Smith is a waste of time and that sort of stuff. I will have to give it 3.5. Like 3.5. Like ultimately did enough to not make me want to go full regalia and bash the movie. Like they did just enough. They met the expectations, as I started my little soliloquy with, but they didn't exceed them. They did just enough to, if you know, like back in the day, you tell yourself, all right, if I get 60, I pass the class, and you get 62.
That's all right. That's all right.
You know what I mean? They gave you just enough. They did enough. They barely did enough to push forward the lore. But like I said, 3.5 is where I would come in.
You imagine if this movie was god awful, what this review would be? All that. This would be a 2-hour review.
I honestly feel that we would have had to do a live stream.
We would have got to do a live stream. We would have got to go live.
We would have got to go live.
We would have got to go live. And even if it's just me and you on the live, we would have got to talk it.
We would have got to talk it, because we would have had to sit down and talk. I feel like if this was horrible, if this was god awful, like if this was a Charlie's Angels reboot, like
I would have come out here bareback with tattoos on my face.
War
paint.
War paint, B.
I would come to fight. For me, it's interesting. I do too give it a 3.5 out of 5 red pills, because I think it. And when I was thinking about it, and when I first watched it, I was at 7 out of 10, 3.5 out of 5. I watched it again and I dipped. I was like 6.5, and then I watched it again. I was like 7. So I was kind of,
Italy?
No, I was. That's your word, not mine.
You know he's gonna get that word in everything.
Yeah.
That's like our catchphrase.
Yeah, middling. Right? The movie works, in my opinion. I think it does enough to answer questions, to push forward the lore. We know what happens to Zion. We know about Ayo. We see that even though the truth has been broken and there's no more peace, there was peace at a time, and machines and man work together hand in hand to kind of make strawberries. But the point is, it does enough to push forward the lore. It does enough to answer the questions. It doesn't do too much. It played it safe. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. The negatives, the callbacks, my God, we get it. We love the Matrix. I got the box set in there. We love the Matrix. But just relax. We understand. We don't need the callbacks. Second, I thought the acting was on point. And the thing is, you have Keanu Reeves.
Speaking of that, I almost feel like in this here, Keanu Reeves is playing Keanu Reeves. You know how we kicks at Will Smith that he doesn't become the character becomes him that he goes to play. Like throughout this whole a whole movie, if you look at what you know about Keanu in real life and how he is, it's almost like, well, he didn't have to dig deep for inspiration for this part.
No, I mean he plays within his wheelhouse, because to me, because I was being very careful to see how it was against John Wick. And there are differences. Like he does play Neo. Like, don't get tired. So yeah, he does play Keanu Reeves, and that's not a problem. That's all right. The acting was great. I think the fight scenes were a bit washed and watered down. I think that the themes were great, but they spent so much time on callbacks that it was lost in some of the themes. I thought that Neil Patrick Harris was a great villain. I thought Smith could have been not in the movie, but it is what it is. 3.5 for me out of 5 red pills. And that has been our review of the Matrix Resurrections. Let us know what you think. Comment below. You think the movie was hot garbage? Garbage, as Mark would say? Do you think that it was a great movie? Where do you...
Do you think it needs to go up on my favorite website?
Tell the good people what your website is, Mark. For those of you that are questioning, what's this website?
www.bake.com.
No, don't go.
That is www.bake.com.
And don't go Googling that because we don't own it. Y'all might end up in...
You might end up in some dark places on the web. Just don't come saying that. We saying one.
Just saying, that is a joke. We
That's
do
our
not
disclaimer.
we do not own the URL. That is just a joke. Yeah, let us know what you think. Mark, one question I got to ask you though. Where do you rank this amongst the Matrix movies?
It's above Revolutions for sure. I think on a good day, it's going to be interchanging between Reloaded. It's going to be between this and Reloaded for second and third. Because he ain't touching the Matrix. He ain't touching the first one. Like, let me not even, like, the Matrix is all the way out here.
Yeah, the Matrix.
The rest is down here.
Yeah.
So on a good day or on a bad day, it can flip-flop between second and third with Reloaded.
Well,
but I feel like more often than not, Reloaded might be above it more often than not, if I got it right.
No, when I first watched the movie, I came out of it and I was like, this could be like, I was just like you, it could be interchangeable. But then I ultimately say no, this is not better than Reloaded because that highway scene and the choreography and the fight scenes, the pacing,
that was the same thing I was saying in my head. Like,
even though the pacing may have been off,
but the fight scenes,
the action in it and the dedication to it was
on point.
On point. So, yep, that's been our review. Strike up the band. Strike up the band.
Again, hope you guys had a good Christmas. Hope you guys continue to achieve your goals that you set. Why you don't go wait for the new year to get at them. You can get at them from today. There's no time like the present. We again appreciate all engagement, the likes, the dislike, the comments, the suggestions for movies. We're working on them. We promise we're still on our road to 75. So you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Even if you want to tell you these 2 minutes, I don't want to talk or hump or shite. Just listen to them. I know you get some kicks off over me, sir. But even I just be breaking down when they watch it back. So I know the jokes coming. So if I laughing at my own jokes, I know when they're laughing. Like don't front. But all love is appreciated. Thank you so much for the love so far. And we look forward to you guys in the new year with all the content we got lined up.
Peace and love.